There is a predator in the ocean that can make even a great white shark disappear. It hunts dolphins. It kills seals. Some populations prey on sharks, and groups of orcas have even been documented attacking blue whales, the largest animals ever known to exist. More recently, orcas off the coast of Europe have repeatedly struck sailing vessels, damaging rudders and leaving some boats unable to stay afloat. By almost every measure, this animal should terrify us. An adult male can weigh several tons. It is faster than us, stronger than us, and infinitely better adapted to the ocean. It hunts in coordinated groups. It learns new techniques. It can pass those techniques from one generation to the next. If an orca genuinely decided that a human was prey, there would be almost nothing an unprotected swimmer could do about it. And yet, something extraordinary happens in the wild. Humans swim in the same water. Divers encounter them. Surfers float above them. Boats cross directly through their territory. And despite countless opportunities, wild orcas do not normally treat humans as food. Think about how strange that is. A predator capable of killing animals larger, faster, and far more dangerous than we are can encounter one of the most vulnerable creatures it could possibly find in the ocean and simply move on. Why? Why would one of the most capable predators on Earth kill sharks, seals, and even whales, but not hunt us? For a long time, people have searched for one simple answer. Maybe we taste bad. Maybe they fear us. Maybe they somehow know that attacking humans would bring consequences. But the real explanation appears to be much more interesting, because to understand why an orca doesn't hunt us, you first have to understand how an orca decides what prey is. And that decision begins long before the hunt. Despite its name, the killer whale is actually the largest member of the dolphin family. And that matters, because an orca combines the body of a huge marine predator with the behavioral flexibility of an extraordinarily social animal. Large males can approach 9 meters in length. Their enormous dorsal fins can rise high above the surface. Below the water is a streamlined body powered by massive muscles and a tail capable of driving the animal through the sea at remarkable speed. Then there are the teeth, large, conical, designed for gripping powerful prey. But the most dangerous weapon an orca possesses isn't inside its mouth. It's inside its skull. Because an orca doesn't simply attack whatever happens to swim past. It observes. It coordinates. It learns. And most importantly, different orcas learn different things. Killer whales live in every ocean on Earth, but they don't all live the same way. In the northeastern Pacific, for example, different ecotypes can occupy overlapping waters while behaving almost like different societies. Resident killer whales specialize heavily in fish, particularly salmon. Bigs, or transient killer whales, primarily hunt marine mammals and squid. Offshore killer whales eat fish, including sharks. Same general animal, same ocean. Completely different menus, and those menus aren't explained simply by what happens to be available. Much of an orca's hunting behavior is learned, passed through families, preserved across generations. That gives us our first clue. For an orca, prey is not simply something it is physically capable of killing. Prey is also something it has learned to recognize and learned how to hunt. Few examples demonstrate the power of an orca better than its relationship with the great white shark. For humans, the great white has become almost mythical. A dark shape beneath the surface, a triangular fin, rows of teeth appearing out of nowhere. It is the animal generations of swimmers were taught to fear. But in some waters, the great white itself has something to fear. Orcas. Off South Africa, researchers have documented white sharks killed by orcas. and some of those attacks appear remarkably selective. The sharks have been found with their energy-rich livers removed. This isn't random aggression. The predators appear to be targeting a highly nutritious part of the animal. And the presence of hunting orcas can affect far more than one shark. Great whites may abandon areas after orcas appear. Think about what that means. One of the most famous predators on Earth can decide that the safest response to another predator is to leave. But sharks are only the beginning. Orcas have also been documented attacking whales, including blue whales. A blue whale can exceed 30 meters in length and weigh well over 100 tons. It is so large that a single orca could never simply overpower a healthy adult through brute strength. So orcas do what they do best. They cooperate. A group can surround a whale. Different individuals can take different positions. They can harass it, bite it, and exhaust it. The hunt becomes a coordinated problem-solving exercise, and that tells us something crucial about the animal we're dealing with. An orca does not need to be physically stronger than the creature in front of it. It can compensate with cooperation, which makes the human question even stranger. We are not blue whales. We are not great whites. In the water, we are slow. We have no claws, no thick hide, no blubber, no natural weapon capable of stopping a determined orca. If raw vulnerability were enough to make an animal prey, we should be an easy meal, but we're not. So strength clearly isn't the answer. The next clue appears thousands of kilometers away, among floating ice. A seal is resting on an ice floe. For the moment, it appears safe. The orcas cannot swim through solid ice, and if they simply wait, the seal may never enter the water. So some orcas create the water themselves. Several animals line up. They accelerate toward the ice together. Then, at precisely the right moment, they dive. Their bodies displace enough water to create a wave that rolls across the ice. The seal loses its footing, and suddenly the refuge becomes part of the trap. This behavior is often called wave washing. It requires timing, coordination, and cooperation. But travel to the coast of Argentina and the strategy changes completely. There, certain orcas hunt young sea lions near the shoreline using a technique that looks almost suicidal. They accelerate toward the beach and deliberately strand part of their bodies on land. For an animal built to live in water, this is an enormous risk. Go too far, misjudge the angle, or lose the retreating wave, and the hunter can become trapped. Yet, experienced orcas perform the maneuver with astonishing precision, and young animals have to learn it. They watch adults, they approach the shore, they practice, they make mistakes. Over time, they learn exactly when to accelerate, when to strike, and how to use the returning water to escape. Now, imagine being a young orca. You aren't born knowing every possible way to hunt. Your family teaches you. They show you where food appears. They demonstrate what is worth chasing. They teach you how to catch it. And just as importantly, they show you what they ignore. This changes our question completely. Perhaps a wild orca doesn't encounter a human and think, I could eat that, but I won't. Maybe the thought never begins there. Maybe humans simply do not match the category its family taught it to pursue. And there is a remarkable example of how powerful these traditions can become. In the Pacific Northwest, fish-eating resident orcas and mammal-eating bigs orcas can use some of the same waters, yet their lives are profoundly different. One family may spend its time searching for salmon. Another may quietly stalk seals or porpoises. Their hunting behavior differs. Their social behavior differs. Even their vocal traditions differ. Pods possess distinctive sets of calls that are learned and culturally transmitted. A calf grows up inside an acoustic world belonging to its family. Those sounds help identify and maintain the group. But the inherited culture goes beyond communication. It includes food. Imagine two human communities living beside the same forest. Both can physically eat hundreds of plants and animals, but each grows up with its own cuisine, its own techniques, its own rules about what counts as food. Orca culture may work in a surprisingly similar way. The ocean contains thousands of potential targets, yet individual populations can remain remarkably selective, and that selectivity can persist even when other prey is nearby. This is one of the biggest mistakes we make when thinking about predators. We assume hunger means opportunity. If an animal can catch something, and that thing contains calories, why wouldn't it eat it? But specialized predators don't necessarily work that way. Familiar prey comes with knowledge. You know how it moves. You know where to find it. You know how dangerous it is. You know how to capture it efficiently. Unfamiliar animals introduce uncertainty. And for a predator, unnecessary uncertainty can mean wasted energy or injury. So by the time an adult orca encounters a human, its idea of food may already have been shaped by years of experience and generations of tradition. And humans simply aren't part of the recipe. But that still leaves a problem. Even if orcas don't normally hunt us, couldn't they mistake us for something they do hunt? Imagine looking upward through dark ocean water. Above you is a surfer, a long board, arms moving beside it, a silhouette distorted by waves and sunlight. To us, it's obviously human. From below, perhaps it looks different. Great white shark bites are sometimes discussed in the context of mistaken identity, although shark behavior itself is more complicated than the popular explanation suggests. So, why don't we see wild orcas routinely making the same mistake? Part of the answer may lie in how they perceive their environment. Orcas don't depend on vision alone. They also use sound. They produce echolocation clicks and listen for the returning echoes. Fish-eating killer whales have been observed using echolocation to locate and track prey. As the animal closes in, its clicking behavior can change dramatically, helping it target prey at close range. To us, the ocean can become an almost featureless darkness. To an orca, it is also an acoustic landscape. That does not mean an orca performs some magical medical scan of a swimmer. It doesn't instantly read our bones, lungs, and body fat like an underwater X-ray machine. But it does have access to sensory information that we simply don't. It can approach something unfamiliar, look at it, listen, investigate, and decide what to do next. That matters because hunting behavior in orcas is usually purposeful. When a pod hunts a seal, there is a strategy. When it attacks a whale, there is coordination. When shark-hunting orcas pursue a shark, there is a recognizable goal. Human encounters generally look very different. Wild orcas may approach. They may investigate. They may swim beside people or boats. But humans are not normally pursued as food. So now we have two pieces of the answer. Their culture tells them what prey is, and their senses give them powerful tools for determining what is in front of them. Then something happened near Europe that seemed to challenge both ideas. The orcas began attacking boats. Beginning in 2020, sailors around the Iberian Peninsula started reporting a strange pattern. Orcas were approaching sailing vessels. At first, the encounters sounded almost playful. Then some became violent. The animals pushed against boats. They struck them. And again, they concentrated on one particular structure, the rudder. Some rudders were severely damaged. Some vessels required rescue. A small number of boats eventually sank after sustaining damage. The footage spread around the world, and almost immediately people gave the behavior a human motive. revenge. The orcas were fighting back. Perhaps one had been injured by a vessel. Perhaps they had decided humans were the enemy. It makes a perfect headline. There is just one problem. The boats are being targeted. The people aren't being hunted as prey. That distinction is enormous. If this were a new predatory strategy directed at humans, we would expect the behavior to continue when humans become accessible. Instead, researchers examining the interactions have focused on the animal's repeated interest in the vessel, and especially the rudder. Exactly why this behavior began is still debated. One possibility is play or curiosity. Another is that an interaction initiated by one or several animals spread socially through the population. And if that sounds strange, orcas have a history of doing strange things simply because other orcas are doing them. In the 1980s, some Pacific Northwest orcas began carrying dead salmon on their heads. The behavior spread. For a while, other whales copied it, and then, apparently, the trend disappeared. Decades later, researchers again observed orcas carrying salmon on their heads. No one needs to pretend the whales were making a fashion statement. The important point is that novel behaviors can move through orca societies. One individual does something, another copies it, and suddenly a behavior becomes part of the group's world. Seen through that lens, the boat interactions become less like a declaration of war and more like another example of how socially responsive these animals can be. But that raises an even deeper question. How does a society maintain knowledge for decades? Who remembers what worked when younger animals weren't even alive? For some orca families, the answer is the oldest female in the group. A female orca can stop reproducing and still live for many years afterward. That is extremely unusual in mammals. From a purely reproductive perspective, it seems puzzling. Why would natural selection favor a long life after an animal can no longer produce offspring? But reproduction isn't the only way to help your genes survive. Knowledge can keep a family alive too. An older female has lived through decades of changing conditions. She has experienced good years, bad years, changes in prey, periods when food was difficult to find. She may remember where salmon were found when familiar areas failed. And research on resident killer whales has shown that post-reproductive females can take important leadership roles, especially when salmon are scarce. Imagine what that means for a young animal following her. The ocean it enters at birth isn't completely unknown. Someone in the family may already carry decades of information about it. Where to travel, where to feed, when to change course, what to hunt, what works, what doesn't. And that accumulated knowledge can survive longer than a single generation. This may be one of the reasons orca culture can become so stable. A hunting tradition isn't rediscovered from nothing every time a calf is born. The calf enters a society that already has answers. And if generations of orcas have never treated humans as normal prey, there may be no reason for a new generation to suddenly begin doing so. This is not a proven peace treaty between species. There is no evidence that ancient orcas consciously agreed never to eat humans. The explanation is both less magical and more fascinating. They may simply inherit a culture in which humans have no established role as food. But we have to draw an important line here. Wild orcas are not harmless. An animal can be dangerous without wanting to eat you. A several-ton predator can injure a person accidentally. Curiosity from an animal that powerful can become dangerous, and behavior can vary between individuals and populations. There have been rare aggressive interactions involving wild orcas. So the lesson is not, orcas love humans, and it certainly isn't. Swimming with a wild orca is safe. The real lesson is much narrower. Despite their physical ability to kill us, Wild orcas do not normally display the sustained predatory behavior toward humans that they display toward established prey. And scientists do not currently have one definitive explanation for why. Instead, several pieces fit together. First, dietary specialization. Different populations can have remarkably specific prey preferences. Second, culture. Hunting techniques and food preferences can be learned socially and transmitted through generations. Third, perception. Orcas possess sophisticated sensory abilities, including echolocation, that allow them to investigate their surroundings in ways humans cannot. And fourth, intelligence and behavioral flexibility. These are predators capable of adapting their strategies instead of responding to every unfamiliar animal with an automatic attack. Put those pieces together, and the paradox begins to disappear. A human is physically edible, but edible and prey are not the same thing. A branch is edible to a beaver. Grass is edible to a wolf. Biology alone doesn't define a menu. Behavior does. Experience does. Learning does. And in an orca society, culture does too. Now think again about the first animal we saw. A predator powerful enough to kill a great white shark. Intelligent enough to cooperate against a whale many times its size. Skilled enough to create waves as hunting tools. Bold enough to deliberately throw itself onto a beach. Social enough to learn from its family. And perceptive enough to navigate an underwater world filled with information we cannot hear. Then place a human beside it. We lose almost every physical comparison. The orca is faster, stronger, better armed, better adapted. It can see the ocean in ways we cannot. It can communicate with its family across the water. And if it chose to treat us as prey, our defenses would mean very little. Yet, that hunt normally doesn't begin. Perhaps that's what makes the orca so fascinating. We often measure predators by the size of the animals they can kill. But the orca reveals another side of predation: selection. A predator does not simply ask, "Can I kill this?" It also has to answer, "Is this prey?" And those are two completely different questions. For wild orcas, humans appear to fail the second test, not because we're too powerful, not because they necessarily fear us, not because science has discovered some mysterious affection for our species, but because somewhere between specialization, perception, learning, and culture, we don't normally fit the pattern. There is something strangely humbling about that. Humans have spent centuries imagining ourselves as masters of the natural world. Yet in the ocean, we are almost helpless. Without boats, equipment, and technology, we cannot compete with an orca. And still, the animal with every advantage usually passes us by, not as a friend, not as a protector, simply as something that isn't on the menu. And perhaps that is more remarkable than any story about a gentle giant. Because orcas are not gentle giants. They are predators, extraordinary ones. They can kill. They do kill. And their hunting strategies can be astonishingly ruthless. But their power is guided by something more complicated than hunger alone. A lifetime of learning, a family, a culture, a history stretching backward through generations of animals that taught one another how to survive. So when an orca rises from the darkness beside a diver, or passes beneath a surfboard, or appears beside a boat, the most fascinating question isn't, could it kill us? We already know the answer. It could. The real question is, why doesn't it see us the way it sees a seal, a shark, or a whale? And the best answer science can currently give us is not one single reason. It's a combination. We are not normal prey within their specialized diets. We are not part of their established hunting traditions. They possess sophisticated senses with which to investigate us, and they belong to societies capable of passing behavior from one generation to the next. For thousands of encounters between our two species, that distinction has held. We share the water with a predator capable of overpowering us almost effortlessly. Yet somewhere inside that black and white silhouette is a mind making distinctions between familiar and unfamiliar, between curiosity and hunting, between something it can kill and something it recognizes as prey. And perhaps the most extraordinary thing about the ocean's most powerful predator is not what it chooses to hunt. It's what it doesn't.